So my cousin sent me this style to remake. I guess it's pretty trendy right now with the cool kids. So I decided to make something similar to it using the bed sheets I got from the thrift store. I'm honestly so pleased with the turnout because my teenage cousin can be very judgy and I really wanted her to love me even slightly more after pulling this off. But it didn't start out that easy. This wasn't an easy feat. I had to go to the thrift store to find the perfect bed sheets for this style, and I didn't want to use any of my old shirts to do this. So I had to find the perfect bed sheet, which I did for $6.48. What a steal. So once I got my bed sheet, I went home and I took some measurements on me. And basically I'm just measuring for the shape of the top, not necessarily my body part. So the top part came to about 22 centimeters for that shape of the top, and the bottom part came to about 42 centimeters for the shape of the bottom. So I can move on now to show you how you're going to cut the material. So with the material folded over, you can cut out the shape right here. You're just going to follow the measurements that you measured for the shape of the top, and I'll show you in the next couple of clips what I'm talking about. It'll start to make sense. I'm sorry that I wasn't being very clear here because I wasn't even really sure how I was going to go about it, but this is the best way I can go about it. And if you need a point of reference, you can always go back to that diagram in the beginning to compare your measurements. Make sure that the point that meets the top part to the bottom part actually covers your bust area. I have small boobs, so I didn't have to worry about that, but if you kind of are on the bigger side, you want to be able to measure from the top part across your boobs down to the bottom parts, just to have a precise measurement so that you know that the material is going to cover your boobs properly. Once you're done cutting out the shape, you can see that when you compare it to my diagram, it's just about the same. Just follow the measurements on the diagram and you should be good to go. And once that's done, I can move on to just kind of trimming off that thick edge at the top of my material. And once that thick edge is trimmed off, I sort of want to use my first piece to cut out the second piece. So as you can see in the video, I'm just cutting out a similar piece, and that way I can sew both pieces together, as you will see eventually. So once you're done cutting out the second piece, just open them up and you can see that it's a huge, I don't know what shape this is. It might be a trapezium, but I might also be wrong. But anyway, bring both of them together and just pin them all around and sew it down. You're going to leave a small gap at the very top of the material. So basically, you're not going to sew it all the way around. You're going to leave a small gap that you can use to pull the material inside out. So once you're done sewing, it should look like that, and I'm going to actually trim off the sharp edges in all the corners of the material, just so that when you fold it inside out, it doesn't feel bulky or funny. And once you're all done cutting, you can find that gap that you left open and fold that material inside out. And once we're done doing that, we can close that gap that we left open before. It's done its job and it's ready to be closed down. Yay! So I'm just measuring about 2 inches from the bottom there, and I'm going to kind of make a straight line across the top that's 2 inches from the bottom using my pins. The reason I'm doing this is so I can sew across that line, and I'm going to do the same thing at the top as well, but my top part would be 1.5 inches from the top. Once I'm done doing that, I can also sew a straight line across as well. So the bottom part is about 2 inches spaced out and the top part is about 1.5 inches spaced out. So I'm all done doing that. I'm going to sew across the pins or the lines that I've created. Obviously I'm going to take my pins out as I sew, but more importantly I'm going to also sew an identical line across on both sides as well. So I'm going to sew 2 lines on either side, if that makes sense. It would honestly have been way better to draw this out with a chalk. It would have been easier to see it and sew it properly, but I didn't do that, so my sewing is kind of jagged, which is okay, I can work with it. Once I'm all done that, I'm going to move on to my scrap pieces. So I want to create sort of like a ropey thingy to, I don't have right terminologies, I'm sorry. I want to create sort of like a rope thingy for my top. So I'm going to cut out about 5 to 6 pieces of material. Each of them will be about 20 inches long, and you don't need this much, to be honest. I think about an 80-inch tie or rope thingy should be fine, but I ended up making mine about like 100 inches or so you don't need it to be that long at all. I'm pretty sure I mad exaggerated. Anyway, once I'm all done that, I can connect all the pieces from one end to another and sew it all down. Once I'm all done sewing it at the edges, it should make like a straight line, and then once I'm all done that, I can fold it over and make my rope thingy. As you can see, that's my rope thing. I don't know what to call it, to be honest. I sound ridiculous, but once I'm all done that, I can move on to feeding my rope through the hole. Now, I'm saying the hole, which doesn't make sense because no one saw me creating a hole, but to be honest, I forgot to film footage for the part where I rip that hole open. So basically what you're going to do is take a blade and kind of open the seams just in the corner where the two lines meet, so that you can create a hole where you can feed the lines through. And then once we're done feeding the lines through on all 4 sides, then we can close that hole back. I hope that makes sense. I'm super sorry that I forgot to show you this. I'll try to be better next time. I've just had really foggy brain recently for some reason. Also note that when you want to feed this line, you're going to start at the bottom and then make your way all the way around to the top area. Don't forget, from the bottom all the way to the top, and once you're at the top, the hard part has been done and you can move on to the easier part. Okay? Basically what I'm doing here is I'm pulling the cloth together so that the top part and the bottom part can match my top and my bottom measurements that I took earlier. So I want the top to come to about 22 centimeters and I want the bottom to come to about 32 centimeters. So that's basically what I'm doing here. So just pull through and keep measuring until you have your measurements to the T. So obviously, because of the way I fed the rope in, I only have one sleeve, so I'm just measuring that one sleeve that I have so I can replicate it on the other side. So once I have my measurement, which is about 19 inches, I'm going to cut out that part where it stops at 19 inches and then connect it to the bottom hole and thread it in. So all done that, I need a bottom rope for the other side. So I'm going to take the remaining rope that I have and just sew it to the other side so I can just have a bottom rope to tie at the back, if that makes sense. Once I'm all done with the top, I can sew all the gaps closed and call it a day because we are done and we are ready to wear this top and slay for the gods. I'm not gonna lie, this top is totally not my style at all, but I just wanted to do something that was a request because it's not very often that people request that I do something on my channel for them. So I'm glad I did this, and I hope that she's watching and I hope that she likes it. Leave me a comment in the comment section and let me know what you thought. Have a lovely day. Bye.